Hello, World Tank Blitzers. It's a Littlefinger. Hey, we're doing another comparison video today. This time we are comparing the Ferdinand with the JP II. Yeah, both of these are Tier 8 tank destroyers on the German line, and that's what I wanted to quickly talk about here. If you look at the tech tree, this is one of the few options you have where you can have a true choice, but it keeps you on the same path up to the Jagd Tiger and the Jagdpanzer E100. You can also get from the Tiger P up through the Ferdinand up to the Jagd Tiger. But what I was looking at, like if you're just about to finish the JPanther, how do you know which one of these you should choose? And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in this video today. You'll see the JP2 is much lighter, it's much faster, and it's got some nice angles to it, which do help you get a few bounces, but not a lot. The Ferdinand comes in at 16 tons heavier, 200 millimeters of armor on the front here, but it's all quite flat. And it is a little, it definitely feels slower than the JP2. And because of that, I run these two tanks completely different on the battlefield. And one of the things I wanted to point out, and you'll notice in the videos of the Ferdinand, I was actually running it with calibrated shells, but I don't use HE near as much as I thought I did, so I've now switched over to the gun rammer as a better option to get that DPM up close to 2700. The other thing that you'll notice is different on the equipment is that with the JP2 I run vertical stabilizer because I'm much more aggressive. I'm more on the move, and I'm more likely to be shooting on the move, where I get the benefit from the vertical stabilizer. However, with the Ferdinand, I typically taking back positions, and therefore the refined gun is a better choice for me. Alright guys, so here's blitzstars.com with these two tanks side by side. You're running the exact same gun, but yet the JP2 has a higher DPM. And when we put the gun rammer on both of these, look at that, we're up over 3,000 in the JP2. That's just crazy. I don't know why the tank has an advantage. I'm assuming it is because you've got less armor. Therefore, the theory is that you're not going to survive as long on the battlefield. Weapon handling. Again, the aim time goes to the JP2 just slightly. Dispersion is the same. You do have an extra degree of gun depression in the Ferdinand at 8 versus 7, and you can look 15 degrees either way, so a total of 30 degrees without resetting your camo. Moving on to movement and mobility, huge advantage to the JP2, and that's why I really love this tank. 55 kilometers per hour versus 30 in the Ferdinand, and you can definitely feel the difference when you're driving these tanks. 38 degrees for your traverse speed versus 21. Again, that really helps out, when you're up against mediums or light tanks that are trying to COD you, giving the JP2 certainly a much more of an advantage when it comes to movement and mobility. Miscellaneous and extras, credit coefficients, basically the same. View range advantage JP2, you do carry 250 more hit points in the Ferdinand, which is nice, and you do have that additional armor. So advantage to the Ferdinand here. And then what I thought, these two tanks are actually quite balanced when you look at the 90-day average, 51 to 50.8, very similar in damage numbers. So even though they play completely different, their stats are pretty close. And here we've got the T-54 here in Armor Inspector and shooting against this Ferdinand. And look at this. I mean, let's go ahead and see what happens. All right, so if you're in a medium tank, you've got to be shooting premium ammo to basically pen anywhere but this lower plate on the Ferdinand. But if we switch over to, oh god, I can't see anything. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. There we go. Alright, so there we go. There's JP2. Look at this. Look at all of this green. Nothing you can even really do. So it does play well as a hold down tank if you can basically hide that entire chassis of the tank. But again, a lot of green just about everywhere. Let's real quick, I just want to go back to a tier 8 medium tank. Yeah, not a lot of difference. And then with the Ferdinand, it's a lot of red. So that is why your armor profile is so much better in the Ferdinand. Alright guys, so here is the first game in the JP2 on Castilla. As you can see, we are top tier. And like I said, I do run this tank a little bit more aggressively than I would a typical tank destroyer, because the 55 kilometers per hour top speed really gives you the opportunity to get into, and if you need to, out of trouble sometimes. So I was planning just to climb the hill and let the let our heavies spot up there at the windmill, but notice that they're all coming to the Castilla, so we can use this as a little shortcut, and up the hill we go. And you'll notice, I don't know what's going on with our heavies. Look like they're having a traffic jam down there or something. But it allows us to be the second tank up on the Castilla. But unfortunately, you don't get a good feel here for the top speed. But again, 7 degrees of gun depression. You've got 246 mil of pen, and not sure why our LTTB just stood up there and just took that beating like that. I mean, you've got speed, dude. Get out of there. So we get one shot. I was hoping that they might follow me down here and, find that the rest of my team is finally behind me, but these two guys stayed where they were, which is fine, because I'm going to come up here and get extremely lucky with the ammo rack there on the VK3002D. And there are 3 tanks down now. And it does appear that several of their tanks must have gone the heavy route, because they're now trying to climb the hill up near the middle cap there. And there's that sheriff. He's found himself a really nice hold down position, and because there's not the 4th tank isn't spotted at the moment, I'm just being cautious and don't want to get myself into a situation where I'm going to get spotted and shot from him. So we're just going to play this a little bit slower, as you can see, using the hill behind me. Alright, and there we are. We're getting shot from the left. That must be that super tall hill. I can only assume that maybe it was the T-49 who doesn't have the top gun. I'm not positive. But we were using that side hill to help with our gun depression there. And, as I was showing you with the armor inspector, you really want to try to get hull down. And hide as much of the, anything below the gun, if at all possible. But you'll see how lovely the reload is, and the damage, doing 460 average. And this game has gotten a little bit closer. We've got, I don't know what the T-20 is doing here, just running straight into the rock. Alright, so here comes the T-49. Still not sure if that was who shot me, or if he's got the big gun or the small gun. So have to play this really carefully. Get the aimed in there and get another shot into him. And just back on down, using this hill as our hard cover. Alright, so he's taken out. It's 5-on-2 now. And, actually I'm not sure why I was this cautious. I probably would have been a little bit more aggressive. I must not have lost track of, where the tanks were. But one tank left, and the sheriff's just going to give up hope and crest over the hill and let us kill him for our second kill. 3,700 damage. And, when you're doing 3K damage per minute, those numbers are not all too uncommon. Alright guys, here we go. Faust as the second game, and yeah, I'm going to show 2 games with each tank, and as you can see, I've played 8 battles in each, 50% win rate in the JP2 with an average of 2574. on the damage per battle, and the win 8 was 3445 versus the Ferdy at 75% win rate, but only 1905 damage and 2362 on the win 8. And I think part of that was I had a couple games where the Ferdy was just out of position, and I had a good team, only did like 2 shots of damage, and just because of your slowness and you can't necessarily get in and get your gun on target. So here we had this pretty fun battle that I wanted to show here on Faust, and I do make a mistake in this battle. Don't know if it impacted the outcome of the game or not, but anyway, obviously with the TD, we're sitting in the back, we're sitting in a bush, and we're just waiting to see what happens. Again, JP2 with its speed, you can find yourself in trouble quite early in the battle if you're not too careful. So map awareness is more critical, I would say, here playing the JP2 than the Ferdinand. And so I've just pulled myself into a position where no one else can shoot me but this T-54, and luckily we track him and he's taken out. Just pushing a little bit too far ahead of his team. Likewise, the Vickers, who was probably up on the hill to my right, just getting obliterated with all of those guns down there. Object 252U being aggressive, which he can, obviously with a tank with good armor like that. And this is when I noticed the Ho-Ri spinning in circles. I'm like, oh great. He's got some serious Wi-Fi issues. And he does end up being AFK for the entirety of this battle, unfortunately. But I've decided, to relocate to a position of higher ground here. And we're going to trade shots with the T95. But just look at how easy that is to pen even a T95 through the roof. Oh, there goes our 55A, making a bad decision. How about this right here? We pen him and he bounces us. And, again, I'm trying to hide anything below the gun, really. And our quick reload lets us finish him off. And we're going to get in here and finish off the standard B. Alright, so it's 4-on-4, however we do have a Ho-Ri that is spinning in circles. I don't know what our Pantera's doing, just rushing into all of those tags. It's like, come on, dude. Seriously. And then here is, what happens when you don't have a turret and you have to turn your whole tank to aim. You miss a shot like that. But fortunately, that didn't hurt us because we're able to finish him off. And it's now 3-on-3. Trying to get down low. And this is my mistake. I could have sworn at this point that I switched over to HE. Sometimes I just miss that button on the iPad. And I just thought I was still on HE. And so we do a low roll. So, well, below 460 anyway. And we don't kill him. So again, the 252U comes in and helps me out. The RHM missing his shot helped me out more, but again, a mistake on my part for not switching over to HE there. So it's 3-on-2. I'm obviously a one-shot to anybody on any of their 2 players. We know that our Ho-Ri is AFK, and I want to take a much more defensive position. So I'm kind of just heading up to higher ground here, knowing that the Ho-Ri's on my left. If anyone comes that way, they're going to get spotted by the Ho-Ri first. And that's where he spots up the T-34 all the way across the map. And this guy must have just been camping here the entire game. I just can't find an angle here to get high enough to get a shot in. So you know, the 252U is calling for help. Fine, let's do that. Let's get down here and let's take care of this T-34. And you know, so again, staying towards the edge of the map where I'm less likely to probably run into anyone. Okay, here's T-34. He's moved on around, and our Ho-Ri has spotted the CDC. So we're good over here. As long as we can stay far enough away, we can do some damage without getting spotted. Dropping adrenaline. Can we get another shot in? And this is like look at that, the mini-map. Look at our 252U. Why is he was just next to this T-34. Why is he running to help the AFK player? So anyway, I didn't know if I should back up or drive forward, or I couldn't really. I was too in the open there, and you know, T-34 takes me out. Unfortunately, I do think I skipped forward a little bit here, but 252U, well, he got in there to save the Ho-Ri, but as we skip forward a little bit here, he's just not fast enough to keep up with the CDC. So we end this game with a draw of 4,600 damage, and I was just kind of ticked off that he would be calling for help so much and then leave me all by myself. But again, you can see how fast this gun is, how accurate it is, and how much damage you can do quite quickly. So now we slide into Himmelsdorf supremacy, and we've switched tanks, guys, into the Ferdy. And you'll quickly notice this tank is a lot slower. And Defender Mark 1 says at least 3 guys going to A. I agree with him. He's probably correct here. So I'm going to go support A. And we should have some numbers, hopefully. So here we are, 30 kilometers per hour. Certainly not 55, I'll tell you that. Alright, so we're not spotted yet. So I'm just waiting for one of these guys to make a mistake and cross on into the opening. And, you know, it was kind of interesting. I looked at the gun handling stats after playing all of these games, and I could have sworn that, you know, even though they have the same gun, that based upon the shots that I was getting in with the Ferdinand, I was doing, it seemed like, more damage than the 460 on a regular basis. And every now and then I would get a super low roll. And I thought that might have been compensation for the fact that obviously we've got a much slower reload. You know, and here's an instance where JP2 is able to turn and get a shot off into that T69, where the Ferdy just cannot turn near as fast. Again, JP2's turning here, and you can probably snapshot, not necessarily hit it, but you could get a snapshot off. Alright, was not expecting him to stop there without shooting. And there we go, 750 on a really nice HE shot, max damage. Angled it just slightly here to try to bounce some shots, whereas the lower plate is pennable at this distance, but he didn't fully aim. Bounce, so then we get rammed by our own tank. Maybe that's just karma. I don't know. Alright, so 4 on 3. We've still got all of our hit points, 1400, and don't forget, we are carrying more hit points in this tank than the JP2. We blocked 535, you know, not great so far. But again, you see where I turn, I'm looking over the rocks here and just hiding that lower plate. and angling it as much as I can, but yet the Lova there, he can still pen me. I don't know if he got me in the roof or where he got me there, but finished off the T-29, moving on in. At this point, you know, we're willing to give up hit points to get damage. Can we beat the rev? We'll make him go on the inside and have to deal with that pass. I get tracked, repair track, and we're able to use that 15 degrees looking right to finish off the Lova there and do 3,400 damage. Not great on the credits there at only 22. But again, this is not a tech tree, so I mean, this is a tech tree, so you don't have premium count on it. And then finally, Oasis Palms. And this is going to be your more typical TD roll type of game. And you know, it's playing a more defensive type of game here in the Ferdinand. And I find that from a distance, and the Lova here, JBird66. I'm not sure if you're a subscriber, watch the channel or what, but perhaps calling me out as a nub wasn't such a smart idea. But anyway, to my point I was just trying to make, I did notice that the further away you can keep yourself from the enemy, the more likely you are to get bounces. And I don't know if that's a pen loss over distance issue or you know, just the difficulty in aiming for the very few weak spots on the front of this tank. And our team has pushed into B. I'm kind of the only one over here in spawn at the moment. And it looks like their whole team has gone to that corner. Need these guys to back up a little bit because they're going to get rushed. So we're just going to pre-aim here on the Lova. Yep. He was my primary target from the beginning. But again, not easy to hit moving targets from a distance. And yeah, you guessed it. They are all going to start dropping off. But here we go. We get a better feel for the armor on this tank now. We're just going to try to keep it close to the building, use this hard cover, and angle as much as we can. Oof, how did that miss? How did that miss? I was really patient with that. But here's the deal. We've got two caps. You've got to be aware of the situation here. There's no point me rushing in to try to save these tanks. It is two caps there getting C. That would have been a tough shot had I hit that. We are down two tanks. Soon to be a couple more here. So they are pushing into our spawn area quite rapidly. Again, I decided to take a shot on the slower moving ARL than the faster moving Type 62. Even though I maybe could have killed that Type 62 had I hit him. But look at this, all of these shots that we are bouncing. Meanwhile, we got a tank sitting in B, and one of their guys has gone and sat in their freaking spawn. And so we're left here to defend the corner where all the tanks are. But I think this gives you a good flavor for the tank and its ability to block shots. And so, this does not fit my playstyle. I know probably a lot of you guys probably love this playstyle. And I don't blame you, but I like being more aggressive. So for me, it's the JP2 as my favorite of the two. But as you can see from those 4 games, it is a completely different play style. So hopefully, by the time you get to the JPanther, you've realized what your playstyle is, and you can make a smart decision as to which of these tanks to unlock first. So with that, guys, hope you enjoyed the review of these 2 tanks and the comparison and contrast. And of course, you are having fun out there. Stay safe, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.